So should we do this properly this time?
Start out, yeah.
Right.
Just immediately start out.
I'm good, thanks.
Ladies first.
I'm not
We're only going to give us a lip.
okay.
Well, do I need to put my lippy on?
So we're being good.
What, to get a cake
To get
first?
a cake.
No, you don't have to do that. You can put your lippy on any time after you, sir.
Oh, that's a good old English apple pie, that
What
one.
would you
Oh,
like?
apple pie. Yeah. Oh, can't go wrong with apple pie.
I've got cherry bakewell, mate.
Oh.
Cherry bakewell for me. And we've got tea fresh as well.
Actually, they're low enough. You can stack them, couldn't you? You can double decker them.
That's a drug thing, isn't it? Stacking.
Probably.
No drug references
I thought it was
allowed.
a multi-story car park.
Stacking. Silly boy.
Right.
Right, so welcome to part 2 of Delboy's Garage USA. Was you
Q&A
USA.
Yes.
You can see it's late in the
That's
day,
it.
can't you?
Okay.
Right.
Terrence, Segaton.
I better wait a minute because no one's going to answer otherwise.
Okay.
Carry on.
It's late and quiet at this end of the garage.
I'll be some time.
That's why we can't eat.
That's you
We
can.
ask questions.
We
Right.
can't eat.
We can all eat from here and speed that bit up, can't we?
I'll tell you all about it when I've finished it.
We'll send you a postcard.
Go on then.
But
Go, Melly.
Terrence Segaton, sorry if that's not right, but he says, hey, World Superbikes or MotoGP, have you been to either? What was the weekend like? Cheers.
Well, I actually think the BSB, the British Superbike, is better. I'm sure that's controversial. It is close racing. It's a bit more like club racing used to be. It's not quite so, hasn't had so much money thrown at it, and money and sport, in my opinion. Well, but yeah.
Leave it.
Yeah, probably best not go there. But yeah, it's a great weekend. They always are. It's exhilarating, it's exciting, and you don't get to take any risks. So it's, what about you?
Well, for me, it's that the family, that, we were talking about a sense of family. When you go to a racetrack, you're all there to watch, and I can only liken it when people asked about football earlier on. When you see a football crowd, there's a sense of family amongst them, they're all supporting the same team. So I suppose if you're going to watch Rossi race, or you're going to watch your favourite rider or whatever,
Yeah.
or Kevin Schwantz in our time.
Yes. Yeah. Mike Howard.
Yeah, so Mike Howard, yeah. Then obviously that sense of camaraderie with the people around you, that you all got that common interest, that to me is what it'd be about. On a grass bank in the sunshine watching track racing with 500 other like-minded people. What's not to like?
Yeah.
Tea and cake and you're sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't race close enough to where we live in Michigan that I've ever had the opportunity to go see one. So if I've ever watched any of it, it's always been on the television. So not that I don't want to go watch one, but
Yeah.
But in that vein, I would say, having been a few times myself, everybody that ever gets the opportunity to go to the Isle of Man should go, even if only once, just to experience it. It's just road racing.
that's a
is
completely
just,
different thing than
road racing. Is just,
MotoGP.
yeah, it is. It's truly exciting, and they are true.
They still do
radios.
almost like a run what you brung kind of thing in different categories for
Yeah.
the TT, right?
Yeah, it's a. Yeah, I mean, you get guys who go there. That's their only race of the entire year.
And they rode the bike there.
Yeah, it has happened. It has happened. But
Was it Joey Dunlop who dumped a bike in the sea?
oh yeah,
He's going over on a fishing
the
boat.
boat sank.
Yeah.
The boat
So he's
sank.
got his race bike on a
For a
fishing
minute there, I
boat.
thought he was like, this bike is rubbish, and just
And
threw
they-
it
No, they were
outside.
going on a fishing boat, weren't they?
Because they're all skint, aren't they?
Yeah, not going to money, are they?
Rather than go on the Isle of Man steam Costa packet, because it does,
He had a rowboat.
they had an old fishing thing, and it sank. And all the bikes went to the bottom of the briny. And they got him out, and the following day he was racing it.
Yeah, rinsed it out.
Yeah, it was stripped right down, cleaned up.
I think it's the same
WD-40
as-
will fix anything.
What's the
Oh, yeah.
Irish one called? Is that the Northwest 200?
The Northwest Jump, that's mad.
When you watch that, I think
that
those
cost the
people,
GP.
they are riding gods. There is no one who has bigger cojones than them. The nerve at 200 mile an hour past stone walls,
Yeah.
there's no two ways about it. They people have got a sixth sense to be able to ride. So if I wanted to go and watch any racing, it'd be the Northwest 200.
Or the
Plus-
Ulster Grand Prix, another
Yeah,
one,
the Ulster Grand
similar
Prix.
vein, yeah.
Same sort of thing, racing on the street. That to me is where it's always been, and that goes right back to the 1940s with bikers racing each other on the street.
So if we had races on the street in Detroit, you'd be racing to put new tires on every block. So potholes would just eat them up.
Oh really? Yeah. Well, there's those guys in St. Louis, isn't there? Streetfighters.com. They tend to race on the street.
That's something very
But
different.
I think they get in trouble now and again.
No,
it's
really?
not
Every
apparently.
once in a while they do.
Yeah, apparently it's not allowed. So I heard.
Well, certainly not encouraged.
So, it would be an island. Is there any more?
Yep. Okay, Peter Reed. I'm planning on doing Route 66 on a Harley. I
Cool.
know there are better, more scenic roads, but this is more about the heritage, history than the scenery, although there are some epic views along the way. I've driven cars in the States, but never a bike, and I've never ridden a Harley. Any tips? And also, would you recommend an organized group trip, which seem quite expensive, or going alone? Any advice would be appreciated.
It's a question of
Well, Route 66 isn't what it was. You can't go from Chicago to LA and stay on Route 66 because it's just not there anymore. You know, you guys call it the dual carriageway. A lot of sections of it has been paved over with interstate freeways. But there are still sections of it that are like it used to be,
Yeah.
with little motels and little kitsch places.
That's
and
the
stuff.
Mother Road, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Mother Road.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of Mother Road websites that talk about that. And I think there are probably people who have taken and programmed the individual parts in Google Maps so you can just download the points and then
Just go and do them.
yeah, you can just go and do those. But as far as trying to buy into an organized trip, I think it's a waste of money because for that very reason. They're not going to take you from Chicago to LA
No.
In one road.
in one road. And even if they do to try and make it seem like the old Route 66, you're not going to be on Route 66. To make it seem like that, they'd have to go on other state roads
Yeah.
and
I think, for my part, I did see recently Nick Sampson, who runs Backstreet Heroes now, and Blue, that runs 100% Biker.
Yeah.
They both reciprocally went on. They did the Route 66 tour, and in amongst it, the advert was there, like a commercial on the. So if you buy Backstreet Heroes 100% Biker magazine, recently they did
Yeah.
they did the full feature running over 4 or 5 issues. They had the advert there, and the company that runs that tour runs several others. They do the Rocky Mountains, they do several others around America where they're different runs, different entirely. So you could choose which one you want, and they're different prices on
I
it.
mean, and there are a couple of websites, their name escapes me right now, that specialize in routes that riders have listed. I mean, it's a proper motorcycling website. And they'll use Google Maps to create the waypoints.
Yeah,
And then they've got a review system so you can see whether or not you actually want to do it.
that's a good one. I mean, bikers' reviews are always worth reading, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause, you know, the salesman that sells you the package is not going to tell you what a biker would think.
I mean, he has a vested interest in selling you that package.
Yeah,
what,
but
what you want is an
if you're
honest.
coming from a different country and you're going to spend the money to rent a bike,
Yeah.
and then if you think it's going to be like the Rat Pack going down Route 66, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen because it's just not the same as it used to be. I mean, a lot of it's just gone. But you know
You'd be
what?
disappointed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but in reality, if you go just off the main roads anywhere in America, you're going to find that kind of culture and lifestyle. It's still there.
Yeah.
You just got to get off the main road.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason to own a bike in the first place, right?
Well, that's for me more. I'd probably just do all the southern states, right across the bottom border. You know, right the way across is it.
Yeah, just stay off anything with an I in it. It says I means interstate, right?
Yeah.
Just go on all the little small routes, and you'll find all the cool stuff that no one knew was there.
What do you think, man?
I'd like to do any of it.
Yeah, we got plans for that. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
We'll be over and join you.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
That'd be awesome.
I see a ride coming on. It's
Nice.
always garage on the road.
It's a lot further than Yorkshire.
It is.
Well,
yeah.
you know, interesting when
we can make it a field episode.
when Scott and I did the East Coast for the Idiot Collective, I mean, a lot of the state routes that we rode on were just that. And it is really beautiful countryside. And if
You
you
saw
didn't
those
get off,
videos,
yeah,
yeah.
if you didn't get off the main freeway, you'd never know that stuff was there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
Are those rides all on your channel?
yeah. For
They are,
the
right. So
East
I'll put a
Coast.
link underneath this video to Mike's channel so you can see that. You can
That's
look
my
at-
personal channel, not the one for the guitar stuff.
No, I get that. I'll do that. Just a link later if you want to. I'll put it
Oh
up.
yeah, sure.
Cool.
Why not?
Well, it's going to happen if you don't, as I've said.
Too late. Yeah, it's done.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Got any more?
Yeah.
Yarp.
Nicholas Erlin.
Nick. Hello, Nick.
Says, hi guys, first time sending a question to your Q&A. I'm getting horrible speed wobble on my Road King with 16-inch wide apes at 130 kilometers an hour.
Hang on a minute, just a sec. A Road King with 16-inch apes. That's cool already, isn't it? That's just cool already.
Well, it depends how long his arms are.
Well, at least 16 inches, otherwise that could be the speed wobble. Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
Maybe he doesn't like to wear deodorant. He just keeps air down.
He says, checked alignment and wheel balance bearings and so on. Should I go with weights or steering absorber like most sport bikes have? I'm only 70 kilograms, so I think this is part of the problem since my friend who's 95 kilos tried the bike and he didn't experience the wobble. Thanks, Nicholas.
I'd say the first port of call is to check your tyre pressures, that sort of thing, and assuming you've probably already done that, I'd say tyre wear. All front tyres, naturally by the dynamic of what they do, they get pushed sideways when you corner, they wear on the sides, don't they? So you end up with a point in the middle. If your front tyre is unevenly worn, that always, doesn't it? Always causes a speed wobble, and you'll be a wobble that you'll go into, and it'll often be slowing down, you'll come through it, and then going up, you'll go through it. It'll just be horrible because you get like a V-shaped front tyre. Certainly on sports bikes, isn't it? When they got soft tyres. So check that, and then would you say the same sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean,
Wheel weights as well.
wheel weights, the balance, whether or not the wheel bearings are still spinning freely, there's any play.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like almost a laundry list of stuff you
Yeah,
can
I mean, there
check.
is a long list of things that you could potentially book.
Yeah, grab a fork leg, put your hand on top of the wheel and push the wheel like sideways just to check the wheel bearings. You feel a click, any tiny little movement.
Any play, there should be none.
Zero movement at all. Even the tiniest, even a mil, that's it. You've got wheel bearing issues, that must be dealt with because that could cause it, couldn't it?
Headstock bearings too.
Headstock is another
Yeah,
one.
it's unrelated to the wheel, isn't it? But it
Because,
definitely
yeah,
causes
well, and
problems.
sometimes they don't necessarily even have to be worn. They can just be not adjusted correctly.
Yeah.
If there's
Yeah.
too much slack.
Yeah.
It also
play.
could be too tight too.
Yeah, say too tight will have the same effect.
The way to do that is get the front wheel off the ground, crouch down in front of the bike, facing the bike, on your knees, grab hold of the bottom of the forks and then pull with the wheel off the ground, pull towards you and back, and there's no play, is there? Then side to side through its full lock and feel for any notches.
Yeah, because it's quite often they feel a bit notchy in the middle, don't they? Because I mean they spend 90% of their time
Straight on.
in the, wearing in the same sort of
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, I'd say that. So give the tyre wear a check, obviously tyre pressures, check the tyre wear first, and then the weirdest thing finally, check your rear wheel alignment.
Yes.
Because if the rear wheel is off, that means the bike's crabbing. So at certain points, the front tyre's going to be out of line with the rear, so you get misalignment, which can cause wheel wobble. So check the rear wheel alignment as well. Everything really.
Yeah, do the front rear tire brands match too?
That's it. Yeah, front rear
Because
tyres. Check the
sometimes you'll
tyre.
get that.
Also, check the tyre tread. Look down inside the little grooves in the tyre and check for cracks. If there's little splits and cracks in the bottom of that tread, that tyre's gone hard. And once the rubber's hard, it doesn't give way and grip nicely. It's kind of hammering along the road, isn't it? And it just that then sends the vibration to the steering and it's
Well,
away.
he's got a cruiser, and in the U.S. a lot of times, because we have so much straight road, people will go through multiple rear tires and not touch the
Yeah,
front one. And
yeah,
even though it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
worn tread depth wise, the front tire's flat spotted, not the
Yeah,
rear.
yeah.
And that'll cause a wobble also.
Yeah. Oh, how many times we get people write to us, don't we, Pen? They say, I've got a Sportster I've just bought, it's 1989, it's got the original tyres on, but they've got loads of tread. Will they be okay?
Will they be all right?
They'll be okay if you want to stand and look at it, but that's the point. Rubber is finite, it has a time span and it dries out as it's a...
Yeah, and every couple of years the tire technology gets better, so you can improve an old
Yeah.
bike just by putting new boots on it,
You
right?
can, definitely. Yeah, definitely. The Fat Boy, I've got those Venoms on, they're brilliant. Literally soft and sticky, they're lovely tyres. Cool.
Cool.
Question answered,
Oh,
thank
that
you.
helps.
Robert Lynn.
Robert, hi Robert.
After laying down my 2001 Bonneville, I fixed or replaced all the damaged parts, but still have a dent left in the tank next to the gas cap. I've heard a bunch of recommendations from various people, including filling the tank with water and freezing it until the ice expands the dent out.
Say that again, say that again. Filling the...
Filling the tank with water and freezing it until the ice expands the dent out.
I've never heard that.
Oh my goodness.
No.
That's a new one. Let us know how you get on with
Yeah.
that. No, that's not going to work. Doesn't expand nearly enough, does it? Plus it'll expand in every direction,
Yes.
won't it? I don't think we'll talk about
Your tank will
blowing
just be round,
Well,
spherical.
like a cushion.
If it did expand enough, if you can manage to get it up to the top where there's absolutely no air gap, because it would
Yeah.
compress the air
Yeah.
first, right? It's gonna go to wherever the stress will go to the weakest point, right? So if that's the welded seam and not the dent, it'll just split it right
Yeah.
at the seam.
The other side of it as well is that anything with any dent, I made this point on a recent video I did with panel beating, a dent is extremely strong because it's stretched inwards, it's narrow.
It's work hardened basically.
It's work hardened, yeah. It's narrow in relation to the thickness of the metal, so it's actually quite a strong little thing. And the chances of that pushing out, if it's small, are practically
Yeah.
nil. Especially if that was punched in there and it's actually stretched and it scratched the paint. Now, for me, it's the Dentrix, but you send the paintless dent removal.
Yeah, there's, I mean,
Try them first.
I've seen a lot of things I didn't think could be repaired to
No,
the
they're
point where you
amazing.
can't tell it ever happened with those
Yeah.
guys that do paintless dent removal. And We actually looked up the image that he had as a link to the question, and it's not that far away from the filler cap. So
roll them out.
yeah, fine. I would get a hold of a paintless dent removal guy. And
If
see
you've never
if he could
heard
do
of it, paintless dent removal, Google it, look at some YouTube videos. These guys are magicians. They're not panel beaters as such, are they?
Yeah, mostly it's just an eye and lots of specialized levers to
Yeah,
get in
and
behind.
they get like a thingy in the tank, don't they,
Yeah.
to reach the back of the dent, and they just lever it out.
Like a dentist.
Like a dentist.
Like a dentist.
A dentist. Is that what they call a panel beater? A dentist.
A dentist.
Sounds really good.
Melly's misbehaving here.
Was I getting some of that then, Joe? Probably was. Massive ones like that.
But based on the photo, I bet if they use like a block of wood as a fulcrum point, they could probably get one of the spoon tools in there
Yeah.
behind the dent and just
Just push it out.
push
So
it out and
truck
not
painters-
even damage the paint.
Yeah, I mean, some people talk about blowing a tank up with air pressure, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And that can work on some dents, but I've
I
seen
don't
a
know.
tunnel.
They
come down.
work-
Compressed air and gas vapor is a pretty explosive combination.
Yeah.
Got
Almost like baked beans and cabbage, right?
Do you want to live forever? I don't know. Is there any more?
So I hope that helps.
Yeah, hope that helps you.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do the little glue, like the glue stick trick where
Oh,
they
God,
glue a
no.
thing to try and pull it because it'll rip the paint right
Yeah,
off.
anything you put on the surface. Well, I think you're supposed to put petrol on it.
Well, and if you're going to damage the surface in that way, you might
Yeah, if you're gonna
put some
destroy the
filler
paint.
in it.
rub it down, put a filler in it.
But,
yeah.
what is it gonna cost? I think I had a small dent in the car I'm leasing, and he charged me $50 for the
Yeah.
dent.
That's
The
it.
guy was in and out, 5 minutes,
Well
Yeah.
done.
and it was perfect. They put a little light board on it that's got a bunch of stripes, and they look at the reflection of those stripes against where
As
they're
they
pulling
move,
out.
yeah. And then
And they get it to the point where you can't visually see it, even in the sunlight. It's just absolutely
Good stuff.
just phenomenal.
Clever guys, yeah. Paintless dent removal. Try that.
Cool. Optitrex says, what did you learn from each other's riding differences that you wouldn't have learned in your own country?
He rides on the wrong side
I do.
all the time.
There must be loads of traffic coming towards you.
I get really good at dodging them. It's like a bit like the scene from The Matrix. When they went out.
Well, sadly, we've never been to America.
No,
so
we can't say
wouldn't
we have.
know.
We've been to France.
Yeah, they drive
went
on the
to
wrong side.
They drive on the wrong side too. It's a bit manic there. It really is manic. Mind you, the French truck drivers are incredible. They all drive into the edge to get out of your way. You go along behind a French truck, and suddenly all the hedge will start just disintegrating, and all the mud will start flaying out as this guy's driven into it and then he'll wave you through. I love that. So I think for me, it's just there aren't any differences other than the kind of traditional thing of waving, because you can wave with your left hand. Whereas
Yes.
we nod, but I don't think.
Yeah, but I got that immediately. As soon as I saw someone else do it towards
Yeah,
me, I was
yeah.
like, okay, I got it,
Yeah.
But as soon as we got off the plane and we picked up the car at the airport, you immediately get where you're supposed to be. You think
Yeah.
in your head, you work it up and you're like, oh, this is gonna be horrible. I'm gonna wreck the car immediately. Especially because everything's a manual transmission over here.
Yeah.
You have to pay a massive premium to get a car with an automatic, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be a massive car too. You do not want a massive car if you're just learning to drive in the UK.
So what did you rent? Tell them what you rented.
It's a Vauxhall, the one
Yeah.
we have this time. But the
Is it
last
awesome?
time it was a little Fiat 500 Cappuccino thing.
Can you imagine him sat in one of those? Do you remember the scene from The Nutty Professor when he's in the Zen?
There's an elbow out each
Yeah,
window.
yeah. When he's in the
on one
Dodge
side.
Viper like that. Sorry,
That's
carry
great
on.
like this.
Yeah, in the corner.
That was just fair.
Yeah.
But if you've been driving for any length of time, you immediately get it because you're always in the center of the road.
Yeah.
So that doesn't change. The only thing I find that's a challenge is when I'm in a parking lot and I'm getting ready to pull out, I always have a tendency to want to be on the right side
Yeah.
as I'm coming out of the parking lot.
That's
And I
the
realize
hardest
people are
part.
coming right at me. It's like, oh, I gotta get over.
That's the hardest part, I guess, for you, turning right out of a junction, because you got to go to the other side of the road. Whereas normally you come to it's a tight
Yeah, but it's the
turn.
same as you're turning left.
Exactly.
So-
Us turning left out, we go tight onto the corner.
But if you're on the road, you can see where all the other cars are. Everything's marked.
Yeah.
But when you're in the parking lot, usually not everything's marked. So habits come back, and then I'm on the wrong side of the road at that point.
I found that
But on a
too.
motorbike, you got so much space that it's
Yeah.
easy to correct for it, But in a
Yeah.
car, it's different.
It's cool. We'll find out next weekend. as
Yeah,
well.
we will.
There'll be 100 of us riding on the same piece of road.
I have 100 people that tell me I screwed up. Then
Exactly. Yeah. You suck.
What are you, an idiot? Yeah, and so
Yeah.
are all you.
So was one of us here. You're among friends, dude. And
Right, quite a long question from Raymond McGarver. I think we
Right.
might have to answer this personally because it's quite a detailed, involved question.
Yeah, Ray, we checked your question. It's quite detailed, and what you're asking is something that I think I want to answer personally. So I'll send you a personal email, and we'll have some ping pong over that because I can see what problems you're having, and I'll give you some insight on that one-to-one. It will take a little bit of backs and forwards because there's a few questions to ask you to get some information in order to answer you properly, like so many of them. So we'll come to you on that personally, Ray, and thank you for your question. I appreciate that. But we'll do it on a one-to-one because it's a properly in-depth technical question.
Cool.
Thanks, Ray.
Seaside Motorcycles.
Cool.
That's Roy Lightfoot. Way back in the 80s, I used to be a passenger in a sidecar racing team. Have any of you ever...
Smashing Gromit.
The wrong trousers.
The wrong, yes. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Have any of you ever track or road raced in the past? And if not, why not?
Why not, indeed. Money, time and days
Yeah.
off, and money and bikes and bones.
Days off?
Bones heal slower when you're old.
Oh yes, don't
and they're more painful, yeah.
Yeah.
I must admit.
Don't bounce quite so well.
Days off, what's that? Yeah, I think that's the thing. For me, it's been money, time, and just I'd love to have done it. Proper track day stuff.
I mean, I'm not condoning it, but I mean, as a teenager, we used to be competitive amongst ourselves on the road, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think if I could, I'd drive something like probably Mad Sunday on the island.
done that.
Because you just
Brilliant.
go, yeah, you can just go batshit around the
Yeah,
island
it's
on the road with stone walls.
It's just mad.
Brilliant.
I managed
Yeah,
to use
I mean-
a pint and a half of oil in a week. Simply because it's spent 10 days like that.
That's how.
It all depends on, I mean, what kind of riding you like, because everything requires a different skill set.
Yes.
Whether I mean, there are guys who like to ride trials, right? And I could
Yeah.
never have the balance to do that on my own feet, let alone underneath
Yeah.
the bike, right?
Yeah.
But I've ridden on the track when I was a kid and I first started learning how to ride. I bought a well-used Yamaha track bike that wasn't street legal, even though I rode it on the street. And I bought the leathers. I got it as a complete package, and I went to learn how to do it. And I rode enough to know that I didn't want to do it. I prefer cruisers better. I mean,
Yeah.
I could get the whole like counter steering and getting me down into the corner,
Yeah.
but like I was never confident enough on it or my skill because I don't know,
I think
my
something
balance
else-
isn't good enough for it. It's good enough to ride a cruiser, you know.
I think,
But
don't you think as well though, that when it's your own bike, it's your pride and joy, there's that danger you're going to trash it. If you go to a track day on the bike you're going to take
Yeah.
on the track, you've got that danger you won't get home.
yeah,
So
but
you
the
need
bike
a-
I bought was already a pile of garbage to begin with,
But
so
it's
I
the
wasn't
other
worried
side.
about it.
I mean,
If it's someone else's
people
bike.
that do race are wired a bit differently, though, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe.
They gotta string with-
I think they are.
We know a certain northerner that likes making cooks a D. Saying things twice. And he's the fastest bike rider in the world.
Yeah,
ever,
yeah,
isn't he?
yeah, yes.
You know, we're talking about Guy Martin. You know, Guy Martin.
Well, I mean, he's definitely
one of us,
wired,
isn't
he's
he?
definitely wired a bit differently, though, isn't he?
But I like it. I think he's brilliant. I think he's brilliant. He says everything twice, doesn't he, mate? Says everything twice.
Everything twice.
Everything twice.
As long as he's got a cup of tea, you got a cup
No,
of tea.
he's got a cup of tea. It's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, you know, he's the archetypal British biker, isn't he? A bit of a nutcase on the road and likes a cup of tea. You know, that's
Did he have one in his hand on the wall of death?
Yeah, I reckon he probably did. Yeah, 201 an hour on the
And
wall
the other
there.
one,
Yeah, and as he came past the last time, it book catalogue.
yeah, so
Nearly finished.
instead of holding out like money on the side of the wall of death like they
You
used
hold
to,
out
they
tea.
hold out tea. He just grabs it while he's driving about.
Brilliant. We love Guy Martin.
Oh,
Cool.
right. Now, this one has been asked by 3 different people. Adrian Pilkington and Ian Wallace and...
We can't get this one
Graham
wrong.
Logan.
Graham Logan. So, right, same question. So a popular question.
Go on,
Can't get it
Melly.
wrong.
And the question is,
Lane splitting filtering is only legal in very few areas of North America. Every argument I've heard for or against seem to use the same reasons for both why it's safer and more dangerous. From people that ride where it's legal and not, what are the pros and cons? Is it safer or not?
right, from people who ride where it's not legal.
Well, legal and safe are 2 different questions.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
So-
yes, quite
I'll certainly
so.
agree with that.
It's safe as long as everyone understands it's a practice and we are all doing it,
Yeah, I
right?
agree with that. Yeah.
Because you can filter lane split here in the UK and it's not a big deal. And in the United States, it's not, like I said previously, each state has a slightly different traffic law. So a lot of states it is illegal. In some states, it isn't technically legal, but there's no law against it, so people just do it. But at that point, you get people that want to take street justice and the law into their
Yeah,
own hands, and
yeah,
they're getting upset with you because you're not stuck in traffic and they have been for 45 minutes.
Yeah, totally
So they may
agree with
open
that.
a door on you or
Yeah.
like move their car over just enough that you clip
Yeah.
it when you ride by.
But this is the point, we said this, because you get here, people will move over for you.
They will, but then equally you do get people who are resentful of your ability to get through traffic. But,
Yeah, especially when they're stuck.
but I think the difference is, as you say, where it is legal and where it is practiced,
That's the thing.
people are not surprised by it.
Yeah,
So
and I
it's
mean,
fine.
you know, a lot of people, I think, well, I can't speak for people in the UK, but the people on a motorcycle are taking one more car off the street,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I don't
just
think
because
they-
they're not really getting away with something. I mean, you're riding in the cold and the wet and
Yeah.
everything else.
I don't think they really care that you're helping the road traffic. They're
No,
just
no.
jealous that you can get
Yeah.
home. And a lot of the time, the other side of it is you get, at risk of offending maybe, but you get the midlifer who can't afford a bike, doesn't want a bike, hates bikes because he hasn't got a license and he wishes he had a better life. He sees you rumble past
Yeah.
on your Harley in the sunshine and he hates you.
Yeah.
You know,
But
and
he
of course,
doesn't- but he doesn't
his
hate
son
you.
in the back wants to be you.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, and you think, well, of course he's going to hate you. So yeah, if the law is against it, he's going to do something to stop you because he thinks he's righteous in doing so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. Where anything is legal, it's probably safer to do it in the sense that other people won't take
And
action.
there's the awareness of it. And plus, the people they don't have that attitude. Well, he's breaking the law, so I'm going
Yeah.
to show
I'm going
him.
to have, yeah, I'll learn him. Well, I drive my coach around central London sometimes, and when you see the bikes in central London, right in the city,
Yeah.
it's incredible. They just ride like they want to die.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They're in and out of the traffic, the wrong way up or one way, then back a bit over the
Well,
pavement.
some of them are delivering pizza too. You know?
They- Most of them, yeah.
Or
The worst ones
Well, I
are.
mean, back in the day when couriers were big business in the
Yeah.
in the city, I mean,
Don't follow a dispatch rider.
They were
You'll get hurt.
lunatics,
Yeah.
absolute lunatics.
So that's the point.
But well practiced at what they did, and again,
Yeah,
within the confines of the city,
yeah.
the other people using the road are expecting it.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you don't have that,
Yeah,
as big a problem as you might do if you transplanted that somewhere else
Yeah.
where it wasn't legal. People are taken by surprise.
And in some
and that's
countries,
where
it's
the
not
danger
even a
lies.
question. I mean, if
That's
you go to
not.
India, traffic laws,
Oh,
what are
yes.
those?
What are
Yeah.
traffic laws?
Everybody's lane
All-
split.
All you need to know is you give way to the cow.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
It's true, isn't it?
It's true. Give way
It's
to
true,
the-
isn't it?
give way to the cow.
So if you rode a bike that was black and white, with the patches, you could
We
get.
have buses that are lane splitting with cars. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it comes down also, they see this thing where they switch off the traffic lights on a massive junction,
Yeah.
and suddenly it works.
And you know what, I've seen that time and time again where my journey to work goes across one particularly large junction where the traffic lights are notoriously unreliable, and it always works better when they're broken than when they're working.
Is that because you've done a screwdriver?
Yeah.
Well, technically, driver courtesy happens in every one of your roundabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People just know what to do.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they started putting roundabouts in like areas around our
Really?
Detroit metro
I
area.
didn't think you had them. Remember
A few
that?
of them.
You got
A few of them, and it's carnage because nobody knows when to go. Nobody knows what the hell a yield
It's
sign
getting
is.
better.
You know, it's getting better, but like now that we've been here, I just floor it right into it. It's like it's a yield,
Jump
not a
right
stop.
Exactly.
Jump it right in. That's what Timmy told us.
Yeah, that's what she does, just floor it.
Yeah, we don't have any problems with it now. But there'll be somebody sitting there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They can't figure out when to go into the traffic circle.
I think the other side of it as well is that it depends on your ability, doesn't it?
Yes.
Filtering is something that you have to build up a skill for.
You
There was a time when
you have to practice it.
When we lived in London, I never sat behind any other vehicle, no matter what, even another bike. It was just like, to me, they were prey. You know, every vehicle in front of you, you hunt them down and you get past them, no matter what. That is your mission. And it's just like, I rode everywhere. And I don't do that now. I just tend to just cruise along. You might overtake the odd bit. But you go back to London, you see them still doing it there. And you think,
I mean-
God, that scares you for a bit. Till you get in the mindset. So all things are about practice.
If it's a question of whether or not I think it should be legalized, I do. But that would have to go with a huge campaign to let everyone know that it is. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to
Yeah.
have belligerent people who think that you're breaking the law and they're going to enforce it for them.
Again, you'd have to get 50 states to agree to.
But I've sat in traffic jams in 95, extremely hot weather,
Yeah.
super high humidity, where I was ready to pass out on the
Yeah.
bike, where the guy beside me, who's making it hotter with their air conditioner because it's a heat exchanger, right, is just sitting there and cool as a cucumber.
With an
while
ice cream.
sweat- yeah. Is it hot? And he's looking at
hot?
you, right? And you just go, you know.
So what are they doing, like New York City? In the centre of Manhattan, the bikes have to
Those,
sit in the
they
traffic.
filter.
Do they?
They're not allowed to, but no one's going to stop them because how's the police going to chase you when the traffic is so bad and
What
nobody's
about
moving?
number plate right to your house later on? That's what they do
time,
here.
resources, money. We don't really have the infrastructure of like closed circuit TV cameras on every pole
ANPR, we call it.
looking at for
Automatic
license-
number plate recognition.
Yeah.
They're in the police car.
I mean, I think they've got
cash
it-
point. Cash point, yeah. Government cash point system.
Yeah.
They do that. That's the trouble.
See, I was just about to.
Go on.
Ding.
Ding ding.
Ding. We kept the waffles
The
out
waffle
this morning.
alarm.
Yeah, kept the waffle of that. Right, sorry, that's
Well, it wasn't me. Melly wanted frozen biscuits or something to throw in.
She's a brute. You just have no idea.
Yeah, she
I
was
do.
so
I'm
sweet,
learning.
Saturday.
She looks very sweet, Sally.
Yeah, yeah.
You notice the toolbox is locked.
She's the enforcer.
Yeah.
Okay, Darren and Lassie Halka. Similar questions. What bike do you wish you still had?
Oh, lovely.
And what's your favourite best bike you ever owned? What bike would you like to get in the future?
Well,
So, ever had?
ever had
and have in the future.
ever had is quite difficult, but it's probably easier to
Best bike you ever had?
name the ones I'm glad I got shot of.
Oh, we've all got lots of them.
I have several of those. I mean, there's a few spring to mind. I had an XS750, which
Oh, God.
chocolate cans.
Interesting.
I couldn't wait to get rid of it. The centre of gravity was up here somewhere, and it was just horrible.
They were nasty, weren't they?
But no, I've enjoyed most of them. They all do different things, and it's very difficult to nail down. You know, if you had to have one of the bikes I'd always owned, do you know what? I don't know that I could actually choose.
No.
I mean, I tend to ride roadsters, you know,
Yeah.
unfared. So it would be that sort of format, but I don't know. I don't
Right.
know.
I did like the socks that you had.
But with my 650,
Yeah,
I must admit
that's
that
great.
was a lovely bike, lovely bike.
See, that's something I can't even have in the US,
Yeah.
and I'd like to have one just to have it. You know? I have the bike I always wanted. Like, I didn't know I wanted it until Indian came out
Yeah.
with the new
Yeah.
Scout, and then
Yeah.
I test rode one. And I'm like, this is a
The
brilliant
17
bike. I
yeah.
gotta have one.
Yeah.
It's
It's a bike you get on and you ride it up the road and you feel at peace with
I
yourself.
think you just know, don't you?
And you don't want for anything, you
just
don't
know.
covet any other bike.
No.
I've been 35 years trying to find
Yeah.
a point where I won't covet the next bike I see.
Yeah.
And I haven't got there yet.
No, I haven't had that moment.
I do love my Fat Boy. I think the Harley Fat Boy for me is it's the best Harley for me that they ever. It's not by any means the best Harley, but for me, it's my very favourite Harley they built for many reasons. For the politics of it, for the movie that it was made famous by, which is like the best sci-fi movie ever, and all of that stuff. And of course, riding it all the way to Yorkshire and back, falling asleep like an armchair. It's just a lovely ride. Two of us like a limo, isn't it? You know, big old chugger. I love the power. I love the weight. It's what it's all about for me. But
I mean,
again,
I've had so many Magnas that like I haven't had a lot of different bikes as it
if
were.
you ever want to know where all the Honda Magnums are, they're in his garage.
Yeah.
Well, they're all gone now.
All
I've
gone
down
now,
to
so
one
long.
Indian, and then Mel's. We both have two bikes now.
Yeah.
The garage is filling up quick.
What have you got, Melly?
Honda Rebel 250 and Triumph Speedmaster.
It's just so cool.
Fantastic.
Nice and clean, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's got some nice drag pipes on it too.
Yeah.
You want to see her grin? Just
I like that. Cool. It's difficult. I mean, the things like the Z1300. If I could have bought one of them, they're things like the RD250 and that. There once
Yeah.
upon a time, a Z13 was about as interesting as a stale loaf of bread. No one wanted them. Couldn't get rid of them.
No.
They were like paperweights. But now, a decent Z13 is 10 grand.
And this is the same with the bikes we cut our teeth on, you know,
Yeah.
back in the days of,
Yeah.
well,
But isn't that just a midlife thing?
Well,
you
it
want the
is.
stuff you
It
couldn't
is.
have
It
when
is.
you were younger.
but then there's also the point of it's always dangerous sort of revisiting these things because,
Yeah.
you know, technology and every aspect of biking has moved on in those
Yeah.
35 years.
yeah.
And if you go backwards, you do run the risk of being massively disappointed.
Yeah, don't visit your heroes.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always going to be another bike you want,
Oh yeah.
but
yeah.
there's always like the bike you love the most. Like, because
Yeah.
I would still love to get one of the new dark horses, right?
Mm.
But I wouldn't ride it like I ride the Scout. It's not
No.
as nimble.
No.
But I wanted just to have it. What you need is
Yeah.
you should ask us how big a garage we want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
that's
just
the
fill
one.
it up with bikes,
Yeah, see,
right?
we can have one like Jay
But there's an equation about the perfect number of bikes, isn't there? It's X plus 1, where X is the number of bikes you have currently.
Right. yes. That's the one.
So
That one and the
That
next.
equals garage size.
Yeah, so you can never have enough, could you?
No,
You would
too
end up-
many are never
as you
enough.
say, you end up like Jay Leno,
Yeah.
but
Actually, that leads on to the next question, doesn't it,
Does it?
Melly? A
Rather
little bit.
Oh, yeah.
tenuously.
Okay,
people would think we knew what we were doing.
Mex-Tex or MX-Tex, I'm not sure.
Mextex.
Mex-Tex. Would you consider owning an electric bike?
Too quiet.
There's much talk of the massive talk, if you'll pardon the pun and all the rest of it. And I'd love to have a go, but
You couldn't write that and it'd be funny, could you?
No, it's not
Well,
fun.
do they have P0 dealerships in the UK?
No. But I couldn't see me owning an electric bike. I just couldn't.
I just doesn't do it for me. I think I know it's good. I know it's the right technology, but I think it's blind. It's a blind alley. I think we all need to go. Harley Davidson have produced one purely, I think, so they say they did, and they own all the rights. You can imagine there's probably a massive pile of copyrights against that bike, so that anybody else ever wants to do it, they have to pay Harley. But that's I don't think they ever want to make.
I know we don't all see entirely eye to eye on this, but I personally think it's the wrong technology.
I actually agree. Because the battery technology just isn't there yet.
No.
I mean, you wouldn't, if you're just talking about it being a functional transportation and you were just going to use it to commute, it would be a perfectly fine bike if you can get the battery technology there.
Yeah. Which
you can build the capacity up now to get the range that you need, but then you got to wait 8 hours to charge the thing up.
Yeah.
I mean,
the onboard charger is so complex that you weigh the bike down to charge it up quickly.
For me personally, I'll never think of anything else but milk flow. Going all the way from the technology and how right it is and where the future of it is, to me, it is about as interesting as
Do you
it
have
is.
milk floats?
It's not interesting. It's not cool, is it? There's nothing cool about going up the road silently. It's just like an invalid carriage. One of those little four-wheel things, like your nan rides to the shop.
Interesting conversation.
Melly doesn't understand what milk float is. She thought it was a cereal.
What?
A milk float. It's a battery on wheels.
A milk float, yes, a giant battery, and they put bottles of milk on the back, and the milkman drives them around the streets and things.
It's an electric,
like a
it's a
delivery
small
truck.
electric delivery.
Yeah, it's like a little electric. Yeah.
In fact, you don't see them very
I thought you were talking about where you take a scoop of ice cream and you put it in.
And it's on top of it. Yeah, that's a Coke float, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's something else.
But invalid carriages.
Invalid carriages,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
But even then, the best invalid carriage ever was them blue ones
Well, they
with the
were.
sliding
They
door.
were the invalid
There was. It had.
They were government issued.
Well, they issued by the council.
Villiers 4H engine or something, weren't
Little,
they?
little two-stroke engine. They smelled more of smoke inside
And you know-
than they did outside.
They were all crushed
I'll bet. Yeah.
because they were owned by the government or the council and all the rest of it. When they withdrew them, they took them all away and crushed them.
Yeah.
because
If you were disabled, you applied.
you were given it.
But they're not electric, were they?
No, they were a Villiers engine.
Yeah. The point being, they're
With
electric.
handlebars.
Well, they did that. It was a little tiny
And
car
sliding door.
with a sliding
Yeah.
door and handlebars in it. I think somebody will tell us the proper name of them.
Well,
Yeah. They were designed with a crayon, I think.
And a fist. And they're all blue, weren't
They only
they?
had blue crayons.
That's it, yeah. Fisher Price blue, weren't they? No, seriously, electric bikes for me, they don't do it. A part of being about a bike is noise and smoke and fear
Yeah,
and
it's-
offending the straights.
It's tactile and visceral, and that's why it becomes too.
He's smart.
He's smart.
That's
He's,
not-
did you smell the whole D section of the dictionary this
Yeah.
month?
It takes away too much. I mean, if you're not riding it for basic transportation, why are you riding it? Because you like the way it looks, the way it sounds, the way
Or you're
it
an
feels, the way it
invalid.
handles.
Yeah.
And there's no disrespect to that. At the end of the day,
But the thing I want to see is I do want to see electric technology integrated into the internal combustion.
But that's the way forward. That's the correct way
Like
forward.
Kurz on Formula One
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah.
Koenigsegg has their new supercar, or hypercar at this point, where it's a massive V8 dual, like supercharged, turbocharged, whatever it is, but there's no transmission. They use a direct drive electric motor that acts as the transmission. And at that point, you don't need gears because the electric motor will overcome the inertia at rest.
Well,
You get
that-
that instant torque, and then all the horsepower is there from the engine.
But that's not new, is it? You know the massive yellow Tonka earth movers, the real ones.
Yeah.
So you know they're 50 foot tall and they take 50 tons of rock at once. Those things back in the day, in the 70s, they had a V12 engine powering an electric motor. They were actually driven.
As did most trains.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
All the diesel electric trains were exactly
Yeah.
that kind of
You could have
technology.
some kind of cool hubless wheel
Yeah.
Yeah.
with a built-in motor stator
Yeah.
unit and do torque vectoring to make that bike
Yeah.
handle better
Yeah.
because you're actually helping it.
I think
Come
it depends
to the
where you
corners.
come from, doesn't it? If you're into race bikes and sports bikes, I think you're probably more prepared to accept the technology because because those bikes are about technology,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're into Harleys or
Yeah, but that's where
you're
the
into
split comes
heritage,
from, right?
you're into a V-twin that thumps and
Yeah.
pounds its way up the road and makes a
Yeah.
big brutal manly noise and smoke and fear.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So not for me, but I don't
No,
know.
it doesn't.
It's
do
coming
it.
though. I don't think we'll
It
avoid
doesn't
it.
do it for me. Well, I think we will avoid it.
You reckon?
I think, as I say, I think it's the wrong technology, and I think until we
Bringing
veer
a
off,
waffle alert.
until we veer off into this hybrid scenario, I think it will just fall flat on its face.
On that note, I think Melly should hit you with the next question.
Hit the next question up.
She's-
Electric bikes, no.
She's going to go for you in a minute if you know.
Cut, clang.
Nick Martin sent in, it says, hey there, first time asking a question. After a period of high speed, 80 plus miles per hour on my 2008 Harley Davidson XL, what was it?
XL
1200C, stock save for,
I think he means 2 into 2 then.
2 into
Yeah,
2.
2 into 2.
V&H big radius. The engine revs won't come down until I've come to a complete stop. What gives? I try gradually downshifting, ALK the way, but
That's all the way.
I think, yeah, all the way, but even in first, when I pull the clutch, the thing revs back up. I've checked throttle for sticking.
Right, that's an ECU
Oh, yeah,
issue,
yeah.
isn't it? There's fuel injected bikes, that's an ECU issue,
Mm.
and it could be stuck in slow run mode. When you start a fuel injected Harley, they have 3 modes, three kind of phases of running. They'll start the run at about 1800 revs, they'll drop down, you just listen to it drops down about 12, then it will drop to idle. Once it warms up, it's probably either stuck in its lean running mode, so cold running.
If it's a Vance and Hines 2 into 1, that means he probably replaced the whole system, right?
But if you have, if you've unplugged the O2 sensors and not done anything with it, you do need to remap it.
Or if the system, like some of the systems don't have bungs for O2 sensors.
Yeah, that's right.
So then you
well,
have to
the
use some
V&H radius they do, but
They
if
do,
you haven't,
yeah.
if you haven't short circuited them, talk to your Harley dealer about your stage 1. What you're talking about once you put the radius pipes on, and you change the air filter and then the fuel injection system. Those 3 things form a stage 1 tune, and you have to get them all consigned with each other. A Harley Pro Tuner, which is a little orange box that you get, Screaming Eagle Pro Tuner, you just plug it in, it remaps the ECU to run really well with those pipes. You'll get better fuel economy, you get better performance, and it will run nice and lazy as well. So I'd say that the only thing you can do with that is go and get your ECU checked. Because if it's nothing physical, if your butterfly's not sticking open or the spring's not broken on the throttle, or you've got like a cable nipped up or something, if everything's springing back nicely when the engine's off, then it's definitely an ECU issue. So you've got to get a Harley dealer to check that, I'm afraid. Sadly. And that means money, I'm afraid, sorry.
Okay.
Deliver bag of cash to dealer.
Yeah, to a wheelbarrow of cash.
Gear Jammer writes, having just bought my first V-twin, a 20-year-old Kawasaki VN 1500. What's the best V-twin engine ever? The
Is that
Yamaha
the Mean
series,
Streak? The VN15?
1981 Virago to present V-Star series, and virtually the same engine.
Well, I think Yamaha have got the longest heritage in Japanese V-twins, because it goes right back to the XV750 to the 80s, doesn't it?
Yes.
The original V-twin,
Yeah.
Pre-Virago,
Yeah.
and then the Virago series about 5
Well,
years
as far
ago.
as the best goes, you know my opinion.
Well, absolutely.
It'll be Vincent every time, but
Vincent or a Bruff.
I prefer the Vincent, controversially.
Well, I don't know, really, ultimately it depends where your mentality is in biking.
Yeah.
When you look at the latest 90-degree V-twin Porsche-derived engine in the
Yeah.
V-Rod, it's enormously, they even sell a performance one, don't they?
Yeah.
They do the Screaming Eagle V-Rod, you buy it for drag racing, it comes with a drag race ECU, no license, no registration, you just go and race it. So I think technology, the V-twin engine, for me, is
It's the best format.
definitely.
And they make good power. I mean, I just bought the Scout 60, and I put the power commander on it, a different intake, and I put a 2 into 1 from Bassani onto it. And it's now making 9 more foot-pounds of torque than the bigger 1133 Scout does, and that's just from tuning.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential horsepower
Yeah.
that's available in the
Yeah.
V-twin.
But then
Plus, it sounds better. That's the
any-
important part.
But any V engine is always going to make the most power. Look at top fuel drag cars.
Yeah.
They're always V8s.
Yeah.
There are no other, are there? Unless you're talking of perhaps the old fringe stuff. But most top fuel drag racing,
there's always the exception in there.
it's a V engine. Just the principle of a V engine on the physics sense, isn't it? It works
I have
better.
a very boring video on that.
Actually enjoyed that
It is
video.
actually. It's quite interesting if you get into it. They probably wouldn't like it. I reckon for me, I like the big twin cam motor. I like
Yeah.
the proper Harley engine. You could say perhaps a 36 knucklehead. That's probably what all the Harley owners will love, or a shovel engine or something like the shovel head motor. But personally, when you look at them, they're so archaic. You still got push rods. You still got a primary chain. When the Triumph now is running gear-driven cams,
Yeah.
gear-driven primary, so it's a nice
Yeah.
sharp engine, nice and snappy. Same as the Victories as well. They're more efficient in their mechanical process. There's
Yeah.
not as much metal clattering around to produce the same power, but it's still about the V, isn't it? And again, then it's about the exhaust, isn't it? And,
Yes.
And what,
Well, even Ducati, the Diavel is a V-twin, isn't it?
yeah,
Yes.
it is. They're all, yeah.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
But I think when you look at it, they're a 90 degree, aren't they? They're always
Yeah,
a 90.
Yeah,
which
it
gives-
just sounds mighty with an Acropovic
Yeah.
exhaust on it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah. There's a channel that I watched called Track 848, and they do Ducati racing and stuff. And this guy's just done a video of his 848 on a track, and it's just awesome to listen
Yeah,
to.
they
It's a
are.
proper voice, crisp and sharp.
Yeah, they are
barking.
just-
Aprilia makes a nice V-twin that has a great sound to it also.
Yeah, we had a Melee last year. Yeah,
I mean, of the latter day Ducatis, the 848 is probably the best.
yeah, definitely. There's no two ways about it. I think all the V-twin engines evoke a little bit of soul, don't they? A four-cylinder engine is efficient. It kind of does its job, and it's
a
kind of...
bit. Well, I mean,
Well,
I
it's-
brought the XJR today, which is a parallel 4, and I'm constantly looking for another gear because
Yeah.
it feels like it's just.
I was just
revving
going to
out.
say that it's the torque
Yeah.
that makes it more streetable.
Yeah.
If you're going to be on the track and you're living at high speed at high RPM
Yeah.
anyhow, then the inline 4 makes more sense
Yeah.
to some degree because you're always going to be up at the rev limit.
Yeah.
Whereas the proof of that it's universal use is you get sports bikes and think, well, okay, sports bikes, four-cylinder, fast, revvy, great, but then where do Ducatis come from?
Yeah.
Ducati, are probably, you
I mean,
just grab one of
historic-
those around the track, that
I mean,
sound, you know.
I mean, historically, of course, Ducati won the day because of their handling prowess,
Yeah.
whereas the Japanese, well, you just didn't, did they?
No.
You just didn't.
if they finished.
I don't think we had a concise answer on that other than V-twin, yes.
Between yes, always
Between good, everything else bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, hope that helps.
I'm not sure if that was even the question, but
No, I told you we'd be messy, didn't we? Right, what's
Ready?
it? Yep.
Mickey Baines, I need to repair part of my wiring harness. Is it better to crimp or solder? I know you hate electrics.
That's all right, I don't know much about
doesn't
it.
everybody? It's the spawn of the devil.
It is.
Is it better to crimp or solder the wires? Which gives the most effective, stable repair? Both will be finished with glue-filled heat shrink tube to give the joint more mechanical strength. What's your opinion?
Solder it. It isn't about mechanical strength.
What he
it's
said
about,
then, he said solder it. It's just a slightly different pronunciation. Solder
See,
it.
once again, I'm butchering my English
That's,
lesson.
yeah, that's okay. You're bringing your special flavour with you.
My special nonsense,
Do
yeah.
subtitles, it'll be fine.
Let's see, we'll do some stuff. Yes.
You know, in school, when we were teaching, taught how to do an inline solder splice repair, it isn't, you don't twist the wires together. It's literally, you tin the ends of both the wires.
Just button.
You kind of side lay them on top of each other,
On top.
and you just quickly touch it. You don't want a big blob of solder on there, and it's good enough to hold it together.
Yeah.
The glue-filled heat shrink's gonna
And that's just going to
is gonna hold it. It's not gonna come apart unless the wire's already under some kind of stress. In that case, you're gonna have other problems.
The
anyhow.
actual fact, even if the wire is under some sort of stress, it will break where the tinning finishes.
That's
right.
Because that's the weak
Because
point.
the
This is
solder
why
joint gets tighter.
I've always said that if you aren't really good at soldering and it's not something you're proficient at, then you're probably better using really good quality crimps.
Although it's not a difficult skill to learn. Like,
No, you can practice
like
it.
all these
No,
things.
just
once
take
you
some
practice-
scrap wires and just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We at school, what we had to do is we had just a scrap of wood, and we pounded a bunch of nail heads that you sand them off to get
Yeah.
the zinc or whatever materials on there so that it'll hold the solder, and then you could just go through and practice
Yeah.
soldering. You heat the part first.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
and
just
then
going to
flow
say
the
that.
solder
That's
into
the mistake a lot of people
Yeah, they
make.
heat the solder and
They
it
heat the
drips
solder
off.
and try and
Yeah.
apply.
And then you get this
Yeah.
caked together mess of solder, and it doesn't hold together and it falls apart. And that's why people want to twist the wires
Yeah.
together.
I think also people think you have to use a soldering iron. And they're actually, to me, they're for radio terminals and things. If you're actually going to solder two wires, what you need is one of those little tiny lighters, like a rocket engine.
I'd say I use a soldering iron, but then.
If you just use the tiny little flame, you've seen those?
Yes.
You get a little tiny 10mm sharp pointed blue flame. If you just heat the wires with that,
Yeah.
you just touch the solder
I mean,
on and it flows.
It really depends on what you're fixing on the
Yeah.
bike. Because if it's on Mel's bike, somebody, and I was too cheap to replace it with a different battery because it was already a new battery. They put the wrong style battery where the posts were reversed on
Right.
Barney, her little 250 Rebel.
Right.
And the wiring harness was butchered. Somebody had already tried to do something with
Switch
it.
it around.
So I still soldered the repair, and I used a crimp in addition to that too. So I heated up with a torch because you couldn't get it hot
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Flowed the solder into it, and it will definitely,
Never
it'll
come
wick
out.
it right in. It will never come
One
out.
piece, yeah.
And now that repair is better than the original wiring.
Definitely. Right, so there we are. I think soldering every time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Marvellous.
How many more we got left?
Only a few more.
Cool. Okay.
Ken Smith, the last owner of my Honda CBR 600 1992, rounded off the bleed nipples on the calipers. Do you have any tips of how to remove them? Thanks to your vids, are inspiring to do more and more for myself.
You had a little trick with that, didn't you?
Yeah, back to the soldering iron.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had that problem before, not on a bike, but on a car. And if you just, because usually the bleed screw is either brass or like some kind of dissimilar metal from the cast aluminium of the caliper.
See,
If
even
you-
in the course of this video, he's learned English.
I can get learned. So you just put the soldering iron directly onto the bleed nipple, heat it up, spray it with WD-40, and do a hot and cold cycle on it. It'll eventually break it's galvanic corrosion that's frozen in there. And eventually because the nipple will heat up so much faster than the metal around it. Right?
Metal.
And then you can get your grips on there and just crank it off. And it doesn't hurt to try.
Enough heckling from the start, please. Right.
It doesn't hurt to try it.
Yeah,
Because
that's
if
right.
it's going to break, it's going to break.
Well,
And
this is
then
the
you're
other
still
thing.
into the point
The
where you're
beauty
going
is,
to
as you said, they've got a hole down the centre, so even if you snap it off flush, you can put an easy out in there,
Yeah.
can't you? Or just drill it out and then thread it. But be careful if you're going to drill it out, because obviously, if
But
you trash
obviously
it
it has got a hole in the middle, so your drill is going to be in the middle. It shouldn't wander off.
You can do literally an easy out might work. You know,
Yeah.
like I say, it's that galvanic corrosion that causes it to seize in there.
But most of the time,
Or people do them up too tight because they think they're going to.
that's the
So
worst.
they
Actually,
lean on them.
when they're too tight, the heat cold cycle will help them come out
Yeah.
way easier.
Yeah, cool. Right. So that
Oh,
was
sorry, Mickey Baines, when I read his question out, he asked another question.
Right.
Any more ride-outs coming up?
next weekend.
Next weekend.
Next
So remember
weekend.
when this video is going to be...
This weekend.
This weekend then.
Whilst we'll be on the ride tomorrow. Yes.
Or you may have missed it.
Yeah.
But you've got the forum address, and what I'll do is I'll go through with you and answer a lot of these questions if it's needs a
Right. By the time you watch this video, we would have been back in touch because this video is being filmed now on a Sunday and it's going up online on the following Saturday. So it'll be a week before you see this. Too late for the run, but we'll contact you personally and we'll give some details. And that will be in the next day or so.
Yes, I'll
So
do
you'll have
that.
plenty of notice and we'll give you all the details you can
Hopefully
come along.
you can come
Going
along.
forward in the future, you can always visit the forum, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can visit the forum, link underneath. Excellent.
Sign on there and register.
Yeah,
you get
absolutely.
everyone welcome. And you
Yeah, that's
can
the
see
Idiot
where we
Collective
are.
Forum. We kind of started a social group a long time ago for everybody to just get together and socialise, and it's called the Idiot Collective. It's worldwide.
Yeah, that's where you met this idiot.
There's this idiot. So we have our American section, so you can sign in there if you're in the USA.
Got a
Any of-
section for Canada too.
your section for Canada and anywhere in the world really. So just sign on in if you're interested. That works. And I'll say I've got a link underneath to that, so you can join it too. Cool.
More women, please.
More women. There'll be a women's section coming up shortly. Cool.
Yeah, women's section, and
Yeah, I'm going to do that actually.
we've met some amazing people for it.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we really have.
Especially these people.
Yes, indeed. Oh.
Right, question from someone very special, Doug Ireland.
Doug Ireland,
Doug.
very special. Doug is the chap who donated the sports stuff to the channel something like a year ago. So this is very special. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate your question. What's it?
He's bought a Nomar tyre changer, works great, but he can't get the bead set. Do you have any tips for setting the bead? I've seen some YouTube videos where they use lighter fluid and a whole lot of fire.
No.
But he wants to
Don't do
avoid
that.
fire.
Whatever you say, don't do that.
It does work.
It does.
Yeah, I think it works on big 4x4 tires.
We used to do that in the military to see deuce and a half tires
Yeah.
back on the rim, but
Well, I
Yeah.
think someone had a trick for this. Was it you said?
I-
Ratchet strap.
yeah, just take a regular ratchet strap, put it around the tire.
Yeah, round
Yeah,
the
right
tire
in the
that way.
middle.
Yeah, and that-
Center it up and just start ratcheting it down, and eventually the bead will get close enough to the rim.
yeah, it squashes the centre of the tire and
Yeah.
squashes the sides out so you get enough seal.
Because usually the shop will have a big, powerful air compressor.
And
They can
they're
shoot.
delivering so much air.
Yeah,
aren't
they can shoot like 80 to 100 psi into it quickly with the valve
Yeah.
valve
But I-
pour out of it, right?
Yeah.
But even then, I've seen the tyre guys put the tyre thing on, start pumping, and then they'll fist stump the side of the tyre
Yeah.
just to get it to catch, and it will start to go.
Yeah, because as the air's trying to escape out the void between the tire and the rim,
Shuts it.
eventually the tire will catch hold and it'll
Yeah.
just pop out against the.
The other trick is is to clean up the rim. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously you know this.
you recommended hair conditioner and that worked great. I tried that too.
Yeah, you just
I've
get.
got a bottle of cheap
You
hair
used all
conditioner
my
just for
conditioner.
Honey, where's my conditioner? Oh, I just fixed
But the
the
bike
tires.
smells so
The
good.
bike smells lovely. Mind you, if you're going to get that stuff on the tyre treads, then you're probably going to
Probably best to clean that off.
clean it off first.
Well, but it's water soluble. It washes
Yeah,
off
it does,
easy.
Yeah,
So.
but that's the thing. Clean off the sticky lumps of rubber that get left on the rim inside, isn't it? Because that stuff tends to stick it. And then any tyre soap
Yeah, I mean,
or
if
just
it's-
conditioner.
If it's an older rim, check to make sure where the tire is going to seat along the bead is clean. Too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, get a wire mop. I do that with a drill and a spinning wire mop head and clean around the actual bead to get that absolutely pristine. So then you get a good seal.
Yeah, because with a tube tire, you don't have to worry about it. As you fill it up, it's going to seat the tire anyhow. But on
Yeah.
tubeless, ratchet strap. It'll
So ratchet strap round the centre of the tyre, ratchet it down, and then push it out, and hold it. Easy.
Right.
Cool. Glad we could help you.
Yeah, I'm glad we could help. Last question, and I've left the funny one to last.
Oh.
Last question.
Martin says, this is a silly session, so for each of you,
What's that?
if you could make a film or movie about biking, which of the
Uh-oh.
themes would you choose?
Cool.
1, Hellraiser Gang.
Hellraiser Gang.
Sons of Arthritis.
That might not work.
Maybe not.
so-
Sons of Arthritis. Yeah. Sons of Anchovy.
2, Road Racing Team. Well, the amount of cakes you've all eaten,
No,
you
we're
can
all-
get your levers, wouldn't you?
There'll be levers are shrunk again.
I don't know, I can advertise Michelin.
3, World Exploration Disaster Movie.
It would be a disaster movie. It'd be a disaster of a movie.
Yeah, the whole movie would be a disaster.
Actually, number 4 might suit Keystone Cops on bikes.
Definitely. Yeah, some of that.
Or would you like to do a bikers rom-com?
What's a rom-com?
Romantic comedy.
comedy.
All right.
It's where you put the bike in bed
I'm
with you and
speaking
you get the
American
blanket.
now.
I love my bike. So you'd have seen riding it, couldn't you?
Yeah,
There's websites for that.
wrong.
Yeah, there's websites for that already. Not going there. That's cool. I don't know. What would you make a bike movie of? It would have to be like Freebird.
Yeah.
I think Freebird is the best biker movie in the world ever.
Well, I mean, it's a comedy. Isn't
It's
it?
a comedy,
It
yeah.
is
What's
a
not-
fantastic film.
What's not right about a van full of weed?
Yeah.
It's
And a weekend in Wales.
a weekend in Wales, yeah. Finding Welshmen who could grow weed in the field.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I
Brian
think
and Curly Worthy and
What's it?
what's
Curly
it?
what's it? Cheesy quavers. I think you've got to do something that doesn't take itself too seriously, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's because all the Hollywood movies now, they all take themselves way too... Look at Sons of Anchovy. It's just got itself way out of order, didn't it? I mean, they lost it completely. Started on a good format and just lost it. So if you're going to do it, it's got to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Maybe that's the British mentality, I don't know. You don't want it to be too serious.
No, definitely not.
What about you? What do you reckon?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah, delete where applicable.
We
We
could
could
just do a-
do
we
slightly
could just do a
irritated
film.
Max.
Basically, what we're talking about would be a movie about an idiot collective ride-out because it
Yeah.
pretty much is all the above, right?
All of the above, definitely, yeah.
The irony being, when we did slope off for the weekend for a bit of a knees up, we all deliberately didn't film it.
We made a great movie weekend.
Somebody might get identified by the police then.
I think we knew where it was going to be. So
Yeah, we did obviously
So
deliberately
you'll
not
have
film it.
scenes of graphic violence against cake.
Yeah, the Cake Appreciation Society, we're not like that.
Yeah.
They sent us hate mail again.
Yeah,
Do you know what happened last time?
we had Mary Berry on the phone.
Yes, he just bought a Triumph.
Yeah.
She wants to come for a ride.
The PG chimp has never been the same since. has it?
Never mind bubbles. Oh dear. See how stupid it would get. We'd better not start.
Yeah. Slow-mo scenes of us burning out on a cake plate.
Yes. While holding some tea.
Yeah.
Finger out.
Yeah, definitely. So, was that the last question?
Yeah, it was.
I can't believe it. It's over already. Q&A USA. Well, there we are. What can we say? Did you enjoy it?
Oh
Did you enjoy it?
yeah, good. Yeah,
I think
good.
so.
It was great.
Well, there we are, everyone. Thank you so much
It's a
for
hell of a
watching.
swim to get here.
Yeah, exactly. Cheapskates, couldn't afford a plane ticket. Cheap ass. I think that was brilliant, don't you?
Oh, splendid.
Splendid. Right, so there we are. Thank you very much for watching Q&A USA. That's been a bit of fun for us. We hope you enjoyed it. So from me, take it easy, ride safe. See you next time. From him,
Take it easy, ride safe.
and from him.
Stay safe.
Doodles.
See you next time. Bye-bye now.
Toodles.
Toodles. For the name of your dog.
Isn't that a cat?
No, that's Tiddles.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Oh dear.